Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is dropping in theaters this weekend, and let's just say that typically speaking, when a big film like this drops, I am super duper excited to go through history and find a game that I could play to kind of celebrate that release. And unfortunately with Aquaman, the options are very sparse. However, if you're a LEGO fan, I've got some very good news for you. And so we jump to LEGO DC Supervillains. That's right. I know you might be scratching your head and go like, wait, hold up. Why LEGO DC Supervillains? Well, because LEGO DC Supervillains actually dropped a huge character pack for the Aquaman original film, so you have a bunch of characters to play as. And of course, we kick things off with the king of Atlantis himself. This would be Aquaman. Not only is he a really cool looking character with an awesome idle animation that I feel like captures Jason Momoa's approach to the character very well, almost like a rock star, but in addition to that, you actually have an additional variant that you could play as for Aquaman, which would be his gladiator armor, which is looking pretty freaking stylish. So if you want to rock that look, that is available to you as well. Now, of course, beyond just looks, there's some really cool gameplay mechanics that the Aquaman character has, like the ability to do this kind of water dash ability, which is super duper cool. In addition to that, you can actually throw your trident across the way and hit things, obviously, so that is pretty useful as well. Aquaman does also sport super strength, which is ridiculous, so you can literally pick up giant vehicles like that one and send them flying across the way. And with that epic beatdown out of the way, of course, Aquaman's brother, who would be Orm, who is actually much more heavily featured in the second Aquaman film that is releasing this week, is actually included in the character pack. And I gotta say, I actually really love the armor design for this one. I think that even though it's kind of colors that you would think would kind of clash and maybe not work all that well together, they come together quite nicely and make for a really awesome looking character. The other thing that's super cool is, just like his brother Aquaman, Orm also does have his gladiator armor available. And as much as I love Aquaman as a character, I will say that Orm actually has the cooler gladiator armor. Now for this next one, we have Mera, of course, another character that was one of the co-stars of the original film. We'll see how much of a factor she plays in the sequel, of course, but she is included as part of the actual character pack, and they captured her look from that original film quite well. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that there's a lot of really cool characters in this pack, but this might very well be my personal favorite. I love this character in the original film, and I was very happy that we got a LEGO version included in LEGO DC Supervillains. And this is, of course, the absolutely epic Black Manta. I've always loved that color combination of black and red, so maybe I'm a little bit biased just because of this being some of my absolute favorite colors being combined on a character design, but even the helmet looks super duper cool. He also does have some really sweet abilities like this laser beam. And speaking of sweet abilities, you guys have the sweet ability to help me out by hitting the thumbs up button on today's video. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Next, we have a little bit of royalty here with King Nerus and Queen Atlanta. Of course, King Nerus is actually the father of Mera. And again, they look really cool. The designs themselves are pretty neat. They have some really cool idle animations, as you can see, which I appreciate as well, but definitely not some of my favorite characters to be included in the pack. And then we get to some of our smaller characters like the Trench Creature, which of course is just kind of a default rogue that you could beat up if you'd like, one of the enemies that Aquaman battled plenty of times in that original film. It is a kind of a cool design, I'm not gonna lie. They actually did do a pretty good job of making it almost look like a horror type character, so I do appreciate that. But as someone who's not a big fan of seafood, I'm not sure about this whole ability of just throwing a bunch of fish bones at your enemies. Now, one character that I absolutely love that they included was Brine King, because this thing is just basically a big giant lobster monster that looks super duper freaking cool. It's the only big fig that we got based on the Aquaman realm, and my goodness, what a cool design. He does this ridiculous little dance, but he can also get down and fight if that is necessary, because of course, as you can see, he has a lot of super strength abilities, so you can go on ahead and send anything and everything flying if that's what you choose to do. And once again, it's just one of those like standout characters just due to the unique aesthetic and design of this character. Now, since we're on the topic of henchman type characters, here is Murk, which again, being a huge fan of the color red, I actually really do like this design quite a bit. Obviously, the red sword is also pretty freaking cool to see. A hilarious idle animation available as well. And you can even hover your way down from big giant heights as you approach your foes. And another really cool character also sporting that epic red sword is actually Vulko, who will be portrayed by William Dafoe in the brand new Aquaman movie. So that's kind of cool to see. But the character itself is really not all that dynamic. It's one of the most boring looking characters in the entire character pack. But fear not, because what if I told you that the characters are not the only thing included in LEGO DC Supervillains? In fact, there is some levels that you get to play as well. And when I say levels, yes, I'm saying plural, because there's actually two, not just one level that you can play that recreate some of the iconic moments from that original film. I mean, if you really want to kind of celebrate the cinematic version of Aquaman, there's really not much better that you could do than playing these levels. Now, of course, the actual gameplay loop is very traditional as far as LEGO games are concerned. There's really nothing extraordinary about them or particularly unique about them if you've played other LEGO titles. However, I will say that it is a really fun double pack of levels to go through. They're a little bit shorter than your traditional levels would be if you were playing a main campaign, which is kind of standard fare for DLC content when it comes to LEGO titles. But I will also say that, as I mentioned before, they contain some really iconic moments. Like, for example, we get to have a hand-to-hand combat scene of Aquaman versus a bunch of sharks. Yep, that happens. We get a really cool underwater chase scene of Aquaman chasing down Orm as part of their battle. We also get a really cool team-up mission, just like in the film itself, between Mera and Aquaman as they try to convince all the leaders of Atlantis to get on the same page and actually end up working together, which is a cool recreation of that original plot. And of course, if you're worried about a boss fight, fear not, you do have an epic boss fight to look forward to. In fact, two, between Orm and Aquaman. First and foremost, you get to fight as gladiators, and then you actually get to fight as brothers, I guess, with their more Atlantean armor equipped and ready to go. And it all ends on this really brilliant illustration of Aquaman and the rest of our heroes celebrating their victory, which is awesome. And with that in mind, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. And if you're curious about the latest, very exciting announcements for LEGO Fortnite, check out the video you're currently seeing on your screen.